Hi, I'm Somer Hackley,
And I am Zen Mac, and this is the Art of Search Hiring Manager series.
and these are stories and insights about all things hiring. Well, Zen, it is so great to see you here again today. Thanks for joining me.
Hello, Somer.
All right. Well, today I wanted to introduce you to Erica Piper. So she is the Senior Director of Executive Talent Acquisition at Capital One. And you may recognize Erica's name. She's quoted very often in my book, and I'm so glad she was a major part of it. And Erica and I partnered together years ago on some critical searches. And I have to say, she's one of the best talent acquisition leaders out there. And she has such a way of keeping in touch with great people and finding the right role for them at the right time. And of course, I wanted to invite her here today so that we could ask her how she does it. So, Erica, thank you for being here. So happy you could join us.
Well, let me jump right in then, kind of jumping off of Somer's intro. Would you talk to a great candidate who isn't a fit for today, let's say, but you kind of feel like they're a good addition to bring to your organization? What do you do? Like, do you then go and create a role for them? How do you stay in touch with them for weeks, months, maybe even years? And just to add one more bit to it, how do you track that information or pass that off to maybe other folks on your team?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's actually something that we really concentrate on day to day, and really, week to week, month to month, year to year here, and something that I've really tried hard to build into my every day. The one thing that I would say is this happens quite often because the roles that we have are, few and far between. We don't have it's not a high volume of roles that we have that we're recruiting on, each day. But we talk to a lot of great talent in the market, and those might come to us through referrals. We might go and connect with folks, directly. We might meet folks at conferences, different events, that sort of thing. And we're always on the lookout for who might be a fit for a role now, but also in the future for what we are going for in the future, what we're looking to do. And so in some instances, we might meet somebody that we feel like is, a candidate that we want to bring in immediately. And in order to do that, we may look at a little bit of disruption within an organization to make room for that candidate coming in. And there's a lot of different conversations that happen when we meet a candidate like that. There's also instances where, we meet a candidate and we feel like they're somebody that we want in the very near term, but we don't yet have the opportunity to either create that disruption or create the role for them sort of out of the gate. And so we do have to create a structure to, keep in touch with that person and really keep them engaged. A lot of that is, me and my team creating communication pathways and creating, setting email reminders, setting task reminders for us to reach out to the candidate. But we
Mm.
actually sometimes pass a lot of that on to the hiring manager as well. And I think that's actually really key for internal search consultants like myself. We want to make our hiring managers partners with us in this journey. This isn't just a responsibility for, the recruiter or for me and my recruiting team. The hiring manager really does get very involved in keeping these candidates engaged. And so we might create a task reminder for them. We might partner with their, executive assistant or with their chief of staff to create outreach that they can send to these candidates every so often. I actually am working with a couple of candidates right now that we've actually been speaking with for 3 or 4 years. And the
Mm.
hiring manager has been very involved in, sending happy holidays messages, sending happy new year messages. That is something that we're very, very concentrated on. So the answer, I think, short answer is a little bit of both. Yes, we can create roles, but we often will be, creating a bit more of a structure around in partnership with the hiring manager to keep in touch with those candidates and keep them engaged.
I love that. It's that term, right? It takes a village to make a great hire, and this is exactly what it sounds like. Speaking of great hires, how do you know that they're great? Like, what does that mean in this context? What are some of the signals, or how do other recruiters look for that? Maybe some advice that you can share?
Yeah, absolutely. In the space that I work in, since I'm so concentrated within, tech and what I call tech adjacent, so product design, those areas. There's always really the technical depth and kind of technical breadth that we're looking for, but I myself am not necessarily screening for that in depth, right? I am not a software engineering leader. I'm not a product leader. And so while I'm looking for that in someone's background, really for me, it's more around the kind of core leadership competencies that we value in our environment, but also I think what make a really great leader. Things like, how do you build high performing, diverse teams? What's important to you? What is your leadership style? Like, what is your leadership mantra? How do you deal with, or how do you think about talent management? How do you think about the structure of your organization? There's a lot that I look for when it comes to humility as well. So when candidates are talking about the greater we did this as a team. I'm really proud of my team, for executing and delivering these results, as opposed to I did this and it was all, sort of me that executed and delivered these results. Really, really, low ego, high humility, sort of one of the key things that I look for in those discussions. And then of course there's motivators. Like we want to make sure that the candidates' motivators match what we're looking for, and that we are also delivering something for them that is going to be a great next step in their career. So, and that I think is something that, Somer and I have talked about this a number of times. There comes a point in some conversations where the candidate might be great and the role is great, but for some reason there's a bit of a mismatch right at that time. And it might be that it's not the right time for the candidate to make a move. It's not the right time. It's not exactly the right role, something along those lines. And so we want to make sure that we're having open and honest conversations and being really transparent about what those motivators are.
That totally makes sense. Well, as you're talking about executive recruiting, where does it kind of go into the onboarding section, right? Because we obviously know that if you're doing this well, then the person does get hired. How would you say recruiting plays a role in that part of it at the end of the search? And what do you think it is that differentiates what you do versus, say, kind of the greater everybody else?
Yeah, I actually love being involved in the onboarding side of things. And I think this is actually a part of my career that I've been really fortunate to be. I think I've been really fortunate to be involved in this. As candidates come in, there's a lot that we learn about folks, as we speak to them throughout their process, through their interviews, through one on one conversations. There's a lot of information that they share. And some of that is utilized within onboarding to help create the experience for them coming into the organization. So, what might be important to them, coming into the organization? What are they considering? We want to make sure that their onboarding experience addresses some of the concerns that they might have making a change. This is a big life decision. They're making a change, and they might be looking for specific benefits. They might be looking for a different type of assistance or support structure when they come into the company. So we want to make sure that that is part of their onboarding. Additionally, when they come in, they do also receive really kind of hands-on, one-on-one with a mentor and a buddy, an executive coach, help understand the culture that they're coming into and also what they're bringing into that culture as well, which I think is really beautiful. There's a lot of great experience that those executives are bringing in. And there's also there's a great, culture that they're kind of stepping into that they haven't experienced yet. And so we want to make sure that they're getting sort of that support structure when they come in the door. I think a lot of companies do have great onboarding structures. Some of them may be more corporate and everybody sort of falls into that. I think the beautiful pieces that I've seen are companies that create an executive onboarding structure, sort of bespoke outside of a broader onboarding for the rest of the company, because these are leaders that are really, they're coming in, they're owning 3,000 person teams, 5,000 person teams, these huge organizations that have enormous initiatives in front of them. So it's really important that they have that support structure coming in.
I love so much here about what you're saying, and there's a lot I feel in hearing you speak in what's unsaid, right? The behind the scenes of what's really going on. And I think What's clear to me in hearing you talk today is how plugged in you are and just the transparency, the openness, how you have a seat at the table. Because in order to be able to make a decision and to guide a candidate and say, you know what, maybe this isn't the right role for you today. Maybe there's something in 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. In order to even have that conversation, you have to know what the future holds. And that comes from being in the room and being in the conversation. And it's just so powerful to have that level of information, and you gain so much respect too from everybody, and it's so different doing that than simply, you know, pushing a candidate through the process, right? Instead, you're that true partner. So thank you so much for sharing what you did today. I absolutely love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I was actually going to add one more bit to it, which
Yeah.
is the connection point from when you met someone great to keeping in touch with them to the bespoke onboarding. Like, I think that really creates something special that I don't hear about very often. And so it's really great to see that happens in practice and that you're doing that currently.
Really lucky to be a part of it. Really excited to be a part of it. So, really appreciate both of you, and thanks for letting me share. Yeah, thanks for being here. All right, take
Thank
care.
you.